In today's live stream of November 9th, 2024, currently a Saturday, just did Pilates like 2 hours ago, almost 3. And today we are going to be cooking some steak. As some of the watered down ice just flew everywhere. I say ice because it was in the freezer, so it like cooled down. Had these steaks defrosting overnight, so at least 10 hours, if not 12 at this point. So they're ready to cook, and we just have to cut them out of the bags and then clean off the meats and then cut them up. So here I have aluminum and then some paper towels, just so we're not cooking it on a cutting board, so none of the juices from the meat soaks into the wooden cutting board. So now we're going to bring this over to my sink, and we're just going to cut the package to make it really easy. And we'll just take, once we got the package open, we'll just take the steak out as so and just wash it. You want to wash in cold water. So there's one steak, and then we'll get our next one. And then we want to make sure most of this water gets absorbed out, just because when we're cooking and when we add these steaks to the pan, we are cooking with oil, and so when we just want to make sure they're all dry, so when we add them to the pan with oil, then it doesn't like sizzle too much when we place them on and cause like the oil to go everywhere. Okay. I'm just getting all of this. Absorbing as much of this liquid as we can. Awesome. Okay. Just place our steak left over there. I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Hi everyone. Hold on, I'm going to look at the chat real quick. I'm going to keep one paper towel just to wipe my hands, just so if any of the steak juices gets anywhere, it'll just be on this paper towel. Okay, we're just going to read the chat real quick. There's a question of asking if my parents know if I'm cooking. I am an adult, so it's all good. Everything's looking good. Someone said just let her cook, so we're just going to continue. Before I'm going to cut up the steaks, and yes, these steaks are small enough where I could just cook them like this, but because I want to cook them quicker and to make sure it cooks all the way through, because I'm someone that likes a really well done steak, so I'm going to cut up my steak. And I'm just going to take out the seasoning that I'm going to use. And I'm also going to start on a low heat, heating up the pan with some oil, just so when it comes to adding our meat, the pan's already hot and ready to cook the meat. So we're going to do that real quick. And we're just going to put it on like a low medium and just add our oil to our pan. Okay, so that's all set and ready to go. I'm also gonna be sure to get out the spatula that I'm going to use, just so it's ready there and I don't have to worry about it. Someone says I look 12. Funny. Because I'm not. Okay. So we're just going to start cutting up this meat, and you just want to cut it. And I'm going to do bite size if I'm being honest, or like close to bite size, like that amount. Just because then when I'm eating, I don't really have to cut my meat apart. I could just eat it like that right off the fork. Also, how's everyone's Saturday going, or whenever you're watching this video? If you're watching this video when it's not live, be sure to add your comments below. So once again, how's everyone's Saturday going? Because so far, mine's going great, even though it's almost 1 p.m. and the most I did was walk to Pilates, do Pilates, and walk back. But still something. And we're not adding these steaks straight to our pan just yet because we are going to season them before we add them to our pans. Some people's Saturdays are going great. And some people are making some jokes. I did see a comment asking what are we making. We're just making like a steak meal. And so I have like 2 8 ounces of steak right here that I'm just cutting up to make it easier to cook through, and so it'll also cook through faster, which is why like restaurants, they would ask if you want it like a butterfly cut where they just cut it down the middle, so the cook time reduces, as well as making sure that the meat is cooked through all the way. And this steak is like has a nice marble to it, I would say. Okay. We're just going to put the knife, because the knife did touch like the raw meat, we are going to keep it on the place of where all the meat juices are staying. I'm going to wash my hands real quick before we add the seasoning, just because I'm pretty sure my right hand did touch the raw meat. Off my hands here. Okay, I'm gonna make a burger. Someone's making a burger with a fried egg and cheese. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So we're just gonna add our seasoning, and I'm just gonna put it in here and just sprinkle it on. I am using Vegeta. Trying to see. I think it's an American company. Yeah, it's from New York. Okay. I get it at the Polish store, so I wasn't sure if it was American or not, if I'm being honest. So we're just going to take this and just sprinkle it on. And Vegeta already has like our salt and pepper, so we will not be like adding salt and pepper. But if you don't have Vegeta, feel free to add your salt and pepper and any other spices you like to your meat. And we're just gonna do it on one side. So then when we go over to our frying pan, we'll add the meat that has the seasoning already on it to the bottom of the pan so then we could add seasoning to the other side of the meat. At least that's how I learned how to do it. If you learned how to add your seasoning a different way, feel free to put it in the comments. Nope, that was too much, so we'll just move it over. And as you can see, I'm only using one hand to touch the meat and the other one to add the seasoning, just to make it a little bit easier. And so I don't have to keep washing my hands. Here we go. I'll be reading the live chat shortly. I just want to make sure I'm adding the seasoning just perfectly, or best to perfect as I can, is I just added too much on one just there. Which is okay, because it's very easy to just pick it up and move it over, so we're not wasting any seasoning, and we're using as much as we could without overdoing it. Which is also why I'm like rubbing it in, just to make sure it gets all into the nooks and crannies of the meat as I added once again. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So I am going to keep that hand not from touching the raw meat, just because we'll be adding more seasoning. And our pan is hot. I just put my hand over it to like see the heat. We're just going to move the camera real quickly without touching anything, just so you guys could see the pan, so you know what I'm doing. And we're just going to check real quick on this live chat. I'm just going to fix the grammar of some things just so it makes sense when I'm reading it. You're straight up living that rich life. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And let me see. Someone said they just had tacos and they were amazing. Awesome. I am wondering though, when you made your tacos, did you use the my ground beef video as reference? Because I do have the video of how to make taco meat. Just wondering if you looked at that. Make some fried chicken next. See, the thing is, I don't have it like a deep fryer or somewhere where I could really fry chicken. Like, yes, I could in that pan, but also don't have breadcrumbs or any flour at the moment. Or eggs, because I just don't eat eggs at the moment. But we'll see. We'll add it to the list and we'll see if it comes up. It might not be for a little bit, just when I could like have a proper place to cook it. What spices did you use in that seasoning? Let me see what's exactly in the spaghetti seasoning. So there's salt, dehydrated vegetables, which include carrots, parsnips, onion, potatoes, celery, parsley leaves, some monosodium glutamate, sugar, cornstarch, black pepper, nutmeg, and then, oh, there's some coloring in this. Interesting. Didn't know that. It's a Croatia product that's just made in New York. I just see that right now. Product of Croatia. Good to know. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to add our meats to the pan. And because it's a low heat, it should not like sizzle too much where like we should be able to add the meat right now. Yeah. This step, do be careful, so if you want someone else to do it, feel free to do that. Or another thing you could do, you could move the pan off of the burner that's currently on, so you're adding it to like a cold pan just so oil doesn't splash. At the beginning I did have to do that while cooking just because I didn't quite know which temperature to put it on, which is fine because I was learning and like I'm still learning. And make sure you're covering the pan as much as you could, just because depending on the amount of meat you have, whether you cut it up or not, you just want to make sure you're cooking it all at the same time, because if you don't, then you're going to be cooking and some of your meat will be done and it will be like cooling off of the pan while the other ones are just starting to cook. And I mean, you could do that. I've done that. It just takes more time. With that being said, I realized I probably should have used my larger pan, but I just used the one that I just cleaned. So, yeah. It just happened to already be out, so I just decided to use it. And once we get all of our meat on here, we are going to raise up the heat just so we can start the cooking process. But before we do that, we are going to add the vegeta seasoning to the other side of our meat. And also your meat might shrink a little bit just from cooking. Because I notice sometimes when I'm cooking, there's more room on the pan after I'm done. So. Yeah, I think we have the space for one more, and then the last 3 pieces I'll just add later. Alright, so we're going to add our seasoning. Oh, that one was a little bit too much. Hold on. And the reason why I'm not using the hand I touch the raw meat to spread the seasoning or add it is because whatever I don't use, I want to be able to put back into my seasoning jar. He's got 3 more pieces here. We are going to leave this seasoning out just because we do have 3 more meats on the side here. And now we're just going to increase it to like a medium heat. I'm just going to let them cook for like 5 minutes on this side before flipping it for another 5 minutes, and then we'll see if we are able to add our other pieces of meat that we have left over here from cutting. So if I did not cut the meat, everything would have fit on that pan just nicely, but because I ended up cutting it, it does take up a little bit more room on the pan. I'm gonna wash my hands right now so I could plate my plate, because I am going to be adding avocados and then the Greek salad that I made yesterday. If you want to know how I made the Greek salad, check out yesterday's live to see what I did for them. So we're going to just wash the hands right now. And let me see. Right now, I'm also gonna grab 1 avocado because I'm just serving 1 person. I typically eat 1 avocado for each serving of steak. So depending how many people you're feeding and how much they like avocados, grab as many avocados with that knowledge. For me, I'm just grabbing 1 for now. And to know which avocado we'll be using, you don't want something that's really hard. You want to, if you have multiple avocados, you want to choose the one that's the most squishiest, because that means it's not going to last the longest. And the harder ones, you want them to last, so save them for a different day. So we're going to go with this one, because it's, honestly, those two seem like to have the same level of squishy. Okay, so we have our avocado here, and this knife is clean. I clean it every time I use it and just leave it out on the cutting board. Okay, we got 3 minutes on that timer. I am gonna grab the plate before we start cutting just to make it easier. Okay, so we're gonna make sure that that thing's off, and we're just gonna cut the avocado. Remember that there is like a giant seed in the middle of an avocado, so you can't like directly cut through it. I always just cut around, twist it apart, and then just, oh, that easily came out. I just squeezed the outside and the seed popped out. I am gonna put it on where the raw meat was touching, just because the trash can's a little bit away and no one's gonna eat that. I am gonna cut out some parts that just don't look that fun to eat. Because I'm the one eating it, and if I'm not gonna eat it, why am I gonna serve it to myself? We are keeping an eye on what's going on behind us with the stovetop. I can also hear the sizzling, but it's at a point where it still sounds good. We might just lower it down a little bit more, and then we're just gonna make columns and rows in our avocado. Make sure to lightly scourge the avocado just so you don't cut it all the way through, because the skin of an avocado, honestly, it's really soft. So during this process, you just want to be aware and not cut too deep. If anything, you can also do this on the cutting board, and then it doesn't really matter the pressure. You just gotta make sure to know where your fingers are. And then we just squeeze it onto our plate. Okay. We are gonna flip our meat very soon. Hold on. There's some bits of this avocado that I can see from this new angle that just don't look that great. So we're just going to take this out. Wash the hands before that time. I'm going to wash the hands before I start going back to that side of the kitchen. Alright, so now it's time to flip our steaks onto the other side. Okay, so it does look like there's more room to add our other 3 pieces of steak. So I am going to add them now. And because the pan's a little bit hot, like higher in temperature, we are going to transfer the meat through our spatula here, just to make sure we're not getting any hot oils on our hands. And then we're going to add the rest of the seasoning to those 3 steaks pieces that we just had here. And then we're done with our seasoning, so I'm just going to add the extra back into the jar. Close off the jar, put that off to the side, ready to be put away. Cleaning off my hands real quick, because I did end up touching raw meat there. And we're going to check the chat. Yep. We wash our hands a lot just because we are touching raw meat. And personally, I went from like my hands touching avocado. Didn't want that to get all over the spatula. So that's just more of a preference. But when you are working with raw meat, you do have to wash your hands before moving on to something else, just because of cross-contamination. Okay. This avocado, we are just going to cut it differently. We're just going to make lines straight down. So I realized that's how I prefer avocados to be presented. Yeah. They didn't come out as great, but it's fine. I'm still going to end up eating them. So we got the avocado all set and ready. Now we're going to add the garden salad I made the other day. We're just going to do this by using the fork that we're going to be using to eat. Just gonna grab as much as I could. Just add it to the side here. Maybe not as much as I had last night, just because we do have some other ingredients, but just a little bit to add some flavor to the meal. Oh, that red pepper did escape the bowl though, so I am gonna have to clean that up, but that's okay. It's a very simple, quick mess to clean up. Since we do have some time as these steaks are cooking, we are going to put this back away. Okay. Gonna pick up this that fell on the floor. Just going to add it to our trash pile over there. Okay, I am going to grab another plate just to put the excess steak on, because I'm not going to be eating it all now. It's just sometimes it's easier to cook a larger amount and then just heat it up for today and tomorrow. You guys want to see the final product? You will. We're just making sure it's cooked to the point where I'm gonna eat it, you know? We got 3 more minutes on this side, and then I'll show you how it looks plated, because I'm going to start eating those while some of the steak still has 5 minutes on one side, just because they were added later to the pan. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to this channel, The Life of a Liver Rit. By doing so, you just be showing our support and showing your support to me and encouraging me to make more videos. Also, comment down below what types of videos you want to see. If you like these cooking videos, if you want more of day in the life videos, let me know. And another way for supporting is either by sharing this video with others or clicking on that super thanks or thanks button and donating any amount of money that you would like to donate. You could either do the pre-selected or customize the amount to what you are willing to spend. And honestly, any amount helps, because even if it's like cents or pennies, it still helps. But if you want to donate more, feel free to do that as well. Okay, so we're down to a minute on this side. And I'm not making them to where they're like charcoal and like hard to eat, because then, in my opinion, it's not as flavorful. So we'll see how these are after I flip them, and then we'll add them to the plate once we see. Because this 5-minute timer I have is just like an estimate, because each meat is different, and this is just an estimate I use for everything just to see how it goes. I still examine the meat just to make sure that it's cooked all the way through before serving it to anyone, including myself. Okay. We are going to stop the timer just a little bit early, just because I did end up setting that timer later than I did with the other ones. Okay. This one could cook for a little bit more. We might let them cook just for 1 more minute, just based on what I'm seeing here. This one's having a little bit of a harder time to flip. And cook for a little bit more. Okay. Let me see if I add the light. Okay. Because it was a little bit darker, I have like a bit of a shadow here, so I can't quite see the color of the steak, of the meat. Okay. When I take it into more of the light, they do look good for the ones that are done, because we still have those 3 that were added later. And I'm double checking to make sure that they are fully cooked here. Just because if they're not, I still could add them back to the pan. turn off the burner, just so it could start to cool down. Alright, we're going to move this off of here, turn off this fan, and then there's our final product. I'm just going to add as many pieces as I want for right now. And if I want more, I could just easily grab some. Okay. There we go. Maybe one more. Okay. And then I'm going to take this, wipe it off a little bit on this side here. And then I'm just going to place it here and put some paper towel over it, just so it can stay fresh and then nothing like touches it. Bam. But here's our final product. We got our steak, our Greek salad from the other day, and then some fresh avocados. So if you did end up trying this at home, be sure to comment down below how your steak turned out. And once again, be sure to subscribe to see more videos. Comment down below your favorite type of video to see on this channel and something that you haven't seen on this channel but you would like to see. We'll see y'all next time. Bye y'all!